3, 2, 1. Hello. Welcome. Turkish Films, Chess Channel. This is Daily Chess Analysis, episode 26. Here's a game I played, which I felt very comfortable playing. I missed a bunch of chances and lost on time. So you can see that my score was 69.2%. And this was the game. It was very comfortable. I had a winning chance, missed it. Had a second winning chance, also missed it. Was playing on, felt okay. Had an extremely winning opportunity. Played a brilliant move, not just the best move, but a brilliant move. Blundered. I was losing, he blundered, and I lost on time. So let's see how this went. These games are hard to learn from. Okay, so he played the Dutch. And in the Dutch, you can see that he's trying to get control over this square. So e4 is a big target, or really important to him. But he's kind of saying it's more important to him than potentially his king safety. Okay, he played knight f6, further attacking these central light squares. And I combat him on these central light squares. And you're going to see that's kind of the theme of the game, is these central light squares here and here. Okay, so he plays d5, again, gripping that square and allowing the queen to help grip this square here, the d5 square. Knight f3. Now this doesn't directly affect these squares. The idea behind this is to protect d4 so I can play c4. You can hear in the game, I really wanted to play c4. Normally, if he takes it, it doesn't matter because you play, knight to c3, which stops him from defending, and you round up the pawn later. I just decided to go knight f3 because I didn't like that there was some pressure here on this pawn. Okay, e6, and now I'm very comfortable to launch c4. If he took it, I think I was just going to do this and take back the pawn. Okay, he plays c6, so he's really trying to strengthen up his structure, as you can see. Just really hunkering down. So we try to, reduce the scope of his structure. And I was always, afraid of trading, but recently the computer has been telling me to trade. And so now I'm kind of noticing when it's a good idea to trade my side pawn for his center pawn. And he captures d5. It doesn't look bad, it just surprised me. If he takes with the c pawn, he keeps the center closed, which is what he wants when his king is going to be, exposed on either side of the board. But also, if you take with the c pawn, you have the c file. So I was very quick at this point to put my queen on the c file because his rook can't get there anymore. Bishop f4 really confuses me. We won't look at bishop captures f4. But I like this. I'm attacking. I'm pressuring a pawn that's only defended once. I'm also looking at a central light square, e4, right? So my ideas seem fairly harmonious in this position. He castles, makes a lot of sense. And here, what's one of the main pieces that he has defending these central light squares? Right? The main piece is this knight here. Also, with his king exposed, he needs to have pieces around his king to keep his king safe. So bishop g5. This takes away this guy that's defending the central light squares. And if I trade off, it will reduce one of the pieces that he was going to use to defend his king. This bishop over here wasn't necessarily an attacker of the king side, but I can trade maybe a neutral piece in the fight for his king side for a very active defender, right? So it's bad piece versus good piece here. Queen e8 getting out of the pin. I captured. He has to capture with the rook. And I want to argue that this rook is a little bit awkward on f6. Also that this f pawn is maybe a little bit too far gone. And that if he tries to play g6 to defend it, he's opening up his king side to a lot of harm. I played knight c3. Again, talking about central light squares. And the reason I chose c3 over d2 is that on c3, it kind of prevents c5. It sort of prevents it because knight to d5. The d5 pawn is hanging with the threat of an exchange. Okay. He played knight to a6. And here, really, I should be worried about him playing f4. f4 would be a bit inconvenient maybe to my structure. I was worried about this knight instead. And so I played a3, which just wastes too much time. And f4 is his main break, and that's what he should play here. It liberates this bishop. You're taking all your pieces and making them very coordinated. Instead, he played knight c7. So we both kind of missed what was going on there about how important f4 was. And here I thought he can play f4, but I can just push e4. That was my thought. So I prepared e4. I'm supposed to play e3, and this maneuver comes later. So I play e3 to stop f4, then play rook A81, then play e4 later. That's what the computer was telling me. He played f4, good for him, and e4 comes. Now, you have to be careful because that's a fork, and if he lets me take it, it comes with tempo, so that's a pawn. So f captures e3. It's en passant. Now, I had a decision here to make on whether to take back with the pawn or take back with the rook. Now, I went through the advantages and disadvantages, and I said, well, rook captures, it comes with tempo. It attacks the queen. That's pretty good. Also, maybe I double on the only open e-file. That's also true. But I thought also that I do want to fork him, right? I want my pawn on e5. And if I rooks here, that doesn't really talk about the central light squares very much, right? It talks about that square, but that's only incidental to controlling the file. So an attack that's more specific to the central thing would be to take with this pawn and then try to break through. That really uses the central light squares. So I played f captures e3, right? I tried to play e4 once. I'll play e4 again, a second time. Also, my rook is open on the f file, which is pretty good. Bishop f5, that's a pretty good move, right? Looks like it's trying to stop e4. e4 anyway. He chose to play d captures e4. And here I kind of miss out a little bit because this knight is really good, again, at controlling these central light squares. I'm just going to keep saying central light squares over and over again. That knight's really good at that. And so it doesn't really make sense to trade off the knight that was doing such a good job at that. Much better would have been to play knight to g5. What's this knight doing here? It's attacking e4. That's a pretty good square to attack. Also, it's releasing some pressure on this bishop. Instead, of course, I played knight to e4. I tried to be tricky and put more pressure on this knight. And you can hear me exclaim in the game, there's got to be tactics here. There's too many there's too many discoveries, there's checks, there's queens that are attacked. There's got to be something here. And there is. There's a really big thing here. And I knew this bishop was undefended, which is why I played my next move. I just didn't really tune into the fact that this rook is lined up. The best move is knight f to g5, attacking the rook and attacking the bishop. Best move is g6, so you don't lose a piece for nothing. And I can take the exchange. The computer actually wants me to play queen b3 first, right? Doing some double stuff here, which is pretty cool. Yeah, but I played knight f6. Knight f6. Check. It's a check. So I got to give myself that. It's a check. But as you can see, it loses over 6 points of value. It's like I lost a rook just there in that move. It's check. He shouldn't take with the rook, so I'll take his queen. Although, rook and knight for queen is not a bad trade for him. He's got to take back with the pawn, and the bishop's hanging, so I take it. All right, so I went from a super winning position to just this. Not great. He played queen f7, which walks into the old fork, winning the exchange anyway. But again, I just missed this, and I played rook captures e6, just simplifying the position. So I just need to do more tactics, honestly. Yeah, that's all it is. He captured with the knight. I thought he was going to capture with the queen. And in this position, I piled up on the knight. He defended the knight. I piled up on the knight some more. He moved the knight, and I took the rook. He takes back with the bishop. He takes back with the knight. Taking back the queen is maybe a little bit risky because f6 hanging with an attack on the bishop. So knight captures e8. And here I had the right idea. I said, hey, these guys are lined up on light squares, and I have a bishop that can hop on e6. So I played a move that gets my queen out of the way of the bishop and defends e6. I played queen to e4, which misses a huge opportunity. Queen c8 pins the knight to the king and simultaneously threatens bishop to e6. Pretty good there, right? It's doing like 3 things. It's attacking that guy, this guy. It's everything. It's a brilliant move. And most importantly, I'd say, it stops knight g7 from happening, which defends the e6 square. My move, on the other hand, queen to e4, does no such thing. So knight g7 just solves all the problems. And right after I played queen e4, I was like, oh man, knight g7, he just stops everything. That was a 1-move threat. That's all it was. But I thought his king's still open. My king is open too, but I have 2 pawns in front of me where he has kind of this disjoint structure. Maybe his pawns will, be a little bit weak or something. So here I said, this knight's kind of bothering me. I'd like it if it wasn't there anymore. Let's play knight h4. The idea is to go knight f5, knight f5, take off this knight, and then bishop e6 still happens. Obviously, he has moves he can play, in between. So we play queen c4. Right? Not necessarily getting out of this, right? I can still put my bishop there and fork the two. But I saw that maybe he has this check, which is annoying, and he takes the pawn. So I played queen e3, stopping him from doing this, but keeping it on the e6 square. He played c5. Looks like a good move, breaking through, right? I played knight f5, right? Trying to do my plan. Take me, take me, take me. I'll take with the bishop and then fork you. And he played c captures d5, attacking my queen. Now, your first instinct is to move your queen away, right? You look for checks, captures, threats. You're like, okay, I don't see anything. Let's move my queen away. But I said, hey, wait a second. There's a capture that I can make that threatens his queen. So I'm up a piece then, right? And I made it. Knight captures d6. Brilliant move. I'm +6 again. Look at that. Being +6 with a brilliant move. That's awesome. He's supposed to take my queen. And I take his knight. Or take his queen back. The pawn's attacked. He probably moves it. And I take the pawn. Fine. He played queen c5. Which is a blunder. It blunders mate in 6. It's really less than that because he has to give up his queen. But yeah, this is a pattern that I actually know. I just didn't see that it applied here. Queen b3 check. If he plays king here, we checkmate him. If he blocks with any piece, we'll just take it. It's the same position again. If he goes to the side, knight here, only move, knight here. King f8 is met by queen f7 checkmate. And king h8 is met by queen to g8 checkmate. What a nice checkmate. That's the same thing as the smothered mate. If his rook was here, he would take my queen, and I would play knight to f7 mate because he's smothered in the corner. But I didn't play that. Oops, I clicked on the wrong spot. Queen c5, attacking my knight. I didn't play the move that's mate in 6, which just wins. There's no excuse for that. Instead, I said, hey, your queen left a diagonal, so I'm going to use it. Bishop e6. I assumed he was going to take this. And I would take back, and I still checkmate him pretty much the same way. If we look, takes, check. If he goes through the corner, it's a pretty similar story. Oh, in this case, we can just take this. Okay, don't worry about that. But he didn't take it. He just played king f8. And I was like, oh, shoot. There's an issue if I defend my knight, let's say with some move that defends a knight. Let's say that one. Then he has this, like, check, right? Maybe that's a queen. My king has to move. Pretty scary stuff. Computer doesn't care. Computer says, yep, queen f4. Doesn't matter if he checks you and you move away, mate. You're threatening check, mate, on f6. And if he tries this, good for you. King f1. My king's safe there because you have no checks. I'm threatening checkmate. You got to be a little bit careful, you know? So, it's a little bit rough. I missed that. I played queen e4 and said you can have the knight. It's still equal. You're up a pawn. I was very low on time at this point. Queen captures d6. My bishop went to d5. Going after this guy. Queen e5. I traded queens, which puts me in a worse position. I mistakenly thought I was better because there's pawns on both sides of the board. So I thought my bishop would, outmaneuver his knight. And it did in the end because he blundered. These pawns are just too weak now, and his pawns are falling. And before I could play bishop captures h7, my time ran out. So basically what I learned this game is that I have to just do more tactics. I have to have these tactical solutions become very obvious to me immediately. And I have to spend less time. I think this is like the third game maybe in a row on the channel so far that I've lost just on time. And a lot of it is I have a good position. Maybe I have a winning position. I don't see the win. I spend too long and don't play the win. And then I'm just in maybe a meh position, but still feel like I'm winning somehow. Yeah, these games are kind of hard to learn from. But, they're instructive when you see what the solutions are. So when he plays rook e6, and I feel like there's tactics, I got to look at everything. Got to look at discovered attacks. Got to look at double attacks. Over here, after queen f7, I got to see forks. And if I fork and he takes, he just gets, he just Just loses here. I'm plus 21. Mate and 10. Yeah, there's no hope. I want to play like queen here or something. Oh, just rook captures e6, of course. Of course. Just winning more material, of course. Take that. Oh, queen f6 check. How nice. Now when we take this as a check. That's pretty clever. Yeah. So that's the game, guys. Not the best of games. Only 69%. A lot of missed opportunities. 3 missed wins. A blunder, a mistake, 3 inaccuracies. I did have a brilliant move, though. So I think brilliant moves, kind of cancel out blunders, but there's still the missed wins there. Thank you so much for watching. This was my game. And this was in the Dutch defense. I hope you'd enjoyed. I hope the first part where you see that I'm staying focused on my main plan of controlling the central light squares, that went well. I did that well. I did waver when I played a3, which gave him time to play f4. I just didn't respect f4 enough. And I was so focused on e4 that I didn't see that I should play e3 and then maybe later play e4 because f4 was such a big deal. And then when I had the opportunity to win based on tactics, I just didn't take them. I didn't see them. And finally, I ran out of time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you smash that like button. Absolutely obliterate that subscribe button. And I hope you stay Turkish. Good night.